All right, welcome back, everyone. Finally got a video for you. It has been a while. Um, Today we're going to go over the spec sheet from my truck here, the 2024 W900. So this will be like the papers that they will give you when you spec out your truck. This is just the specs that I have for this particular truck. There are probably more options than I even know of what you can and cannot do. But this, uh, I will show you is what mine looks like for anybody that might be interested in doing this, or maybe if you have ever seen one of these. Um, this is for Kenworth. I've never bought any other truck but a Kenworth, so I can't tell you whether this is similar to any other manufacturer. Um, Back to the truck. We're working on getting it made into a log truck. Been working on fabricating some stuff. Have some videos in process for you guys. Nothing finished up. So hopefully I'll get a little bit um, more done so I can finish a couple videos and get those out for you guys to watch. So hopefully you can hang out till then. So, all right. Well, let's try to get this done in a reasonable amount of time. And let's just go through it. So this would be page number 1, vehicle summary. It lists your model of truck and the type. It's a full truck chassis. They make truck chassis and tractor chassis. Most of the time, your truck chassis are no fifth wheel trucks, and the tractor chassis are the ones with fifth wheels. Um, so there's just some random information. Some of it, I guess most of it pertains, but over here is the important ones that you want to look at would be the wheelbase. So that is the center of your front steering axle to the center of your drive axles. That would be there, 245 inches. Um, Pretty sure you can do pretty much any increment that you want. So you just kind of figure out what you want. Uh, the overhang is 122 inches. Now that is from the center of your drive axles to the end of the frame. So for log trucks, it's around 10 feet is a good number, and I am 10 foot 2 inches. And then front axle to back of cab is 96. This is the back of your cab to center of the drives, 149, and then cab to end of frame, 271. So like I say, you can change a lot of those numbers to whatever specific uh, thing works for you. All right, let's get into it here. So this is your model. So it's a W900 series conventional. Up here, standard optional. So everything in an S is standard. Everything in an O is optional. To the right, it gives you the list price of the truck and the weight of the truck. So as you add options or as you add and subtract options, it adds to the price and or subtracts to the price, and same with the weight. It'll either add weight or um, take weight away from it. And all those are just estimates too. So let's start out with we have an engine. We've got an X15, 565, and 2050 on the torque. And as you can see, that added $4,978 to the price of the truck. No weight. Um, and then these are just some parameters that they have set from the factory. Um, I never set any of those. That's just what they put in there for me. And then these here are just are in here. Not sure what they mean. Here we have gearing analysis was balanced between power and economy, so that's good. Um, the idle shutdown has been disabled. All right, first off, we have air compressor, 18.7 CFM, which is standard. They do have a bigger one. I want to say it's a 32 or a 34, somewhere in that neighborhood. So you could put a bigger compressor on. Here are our air cleaners, standard dual 13-inch stainless. Um, I'm pretty sure you can only get duals now. I don't think they let you do a single air cleaner. Not sure about painted ones or anything like that, but I know they offer a 15-inch stainless. So then we come to next is the fan hub, two-speed fan hub for the X15. So that means that it's spinning a little bit as the engine's running, the fan is moving, and then when it needs to cool, it just turns it on to a higher speed. Here is the cooling module. So your radiator, it's for the W900s is 1670 square inches. We have the radiator bug screen between the hood and grill. And on this truck, I added the lower radiator drain valve. So it comes from the factory with a like a faucet valve in the bottom hose so you can drain the water out. Here's your exhaust, right hand under deep right hand under cab DPF SCR with dual side of cab tailpipes. A lot of abbreviations. Sometimes you have to figure them out. And then here's your tailpipes. You can do Kenworth only does curved, so you just choose your length of curves. And I think they have, is it, they got 5-inch, and then the bigger ones are 7 or 8. Not sure, 7 or 8, but they do have the bigger diameter pipe. We have the standard PACCAR fuel filter. Um, I've always ran that one. It's been pretty good. It, I know they have some other ones. Davco, I believe. But the PACCAR one has worked well for me over the years, so I just stay with it. And maybe that's because I'm here in California where you have um, warmer weather. Maybe we don't have the issues that you may have with other things. Um, have a fuel cooler. So this is required on engines with a single fuel tank. But I've had a fuel cooler on all, even the trucks with the dual tank. So I think it's kind of a standard thing. Here and then we added the block heater to the engine, and then I opted to put the not have the plug under the door, so they just wrapped up the plug or the wiring harness and coiled it underneath the cab. So that's nice. We got the standard PACCAR alternator and just standard 3 batteries. You can get 4 batteries. I know, and 3 batteries. I don't know too many of the other options for batteries. Standard starter. And we also did the battery disconnect switches on the battery box. I like doing that. Then when you can park it, you can turn off the batteries. All right, let's move on to the transmission. We got a Fuller RTLO 2918B, 18-speed manual. And as you can see, that added $956, 16 pounds over the standard. I wonder what the standard is, 10 speed or a 13 speed? I wonder. Comes with a cooler and a pump and synthetic oil. One thing I noticed with this truck with the this transmission does not have the oil filter on it. The one on my 990 had an oil filter. I thought all of the 2918Bs had an oil filter. So just something that I noticed, no big deal, but something that I thought was strange. We got the 15.5-inch easy pedal clutch, uh, and we're running Dana SPL 250 drive lines. And it says the chassis will be fitted with a left-hand transmission PTO. I had them plumb in a switch on the dash for PTO. I probably won't ever use it, but I was just thinking, good to have it. Good to have it put in at the factory instead of having to add it later. We got the 14-inch high capacity oil to water cooler for the transmission oil. And then here we did the aluminum clutch housing instead of cast iron. And that saves you 52 pounds right there. You see, minus 52 pounds. So that's quite a bit of weight. All right, to the front axle, we're running a Dana Spicer D1321LW, 13.2 rated, and a 3.5-inch drop. Now, there's many options, I suppose, for axles. You can do Danas, you can do Meritors. I think even Packard has their own steer axle, I believe. But um, we went with the Danas. Front brakes are air discs, and then we got splined rotors, and then front hub aluminum, preset hub packages, all that good stuff. I'll just kind of skip to the important stuff. Front springs, taper leaf, 14.6. So we got 14.6 springs with a 13.2 axle. Probably should have put a 14.6 axle in it, huh? And we got single power steering gear, a TRW. And then we do have a power steering cooler, air to oil. Um, I think the power steering cooler and the fuel cooler is kind of like one unit, if I remember right. And that's a good option, I think, because I don't know if you've noticed, but like the newer trucks sure don't seem to hold much power steering fluid. It's like I'm thinking maybe like 2 quarts, where like the old trucks, like in the early 2000s and the 80s and 90s, they had that big power steering reservoir where they held probably a gallon of oil. So I think it's good to have a cooler just to keep things as cool as possible. And then we were running the threaded bushings on the rear spring shackles, the threaded pins. So that's an option now. It used to be, I thought it was always standard, but it's an option now. So onto our rear axles, we have the dual, well, of course it's dual because it's a dual rears, but we have the Dana Spicer D40-172 P's rear axles rated at 40,000. Super 40s. So these are a 40,000 rated axle, but the only difference between them and the 46s, they would be a D46-172P, is the housing thickness is thinner. The drop in and the axle size are the same as a 46, but as you see here, it's an 11 millimeter housing. I think a 46,000 rear is a 16 millimeter housing. So that saves you a tiny little bit of weight. I want to say it was around 80 pounds or something, but don't quote me on that. Here is your ratio, and that's uh, you can pick, like I said, from the different ratios. I think on these ones, the 373, the next fastest would be a 358, and the next slowest would be 410, 411. Then we have dual air disc brakes uh, on the rear. And then it shows slack adjusters, but it has disc brakes, but I think it's just something to do with how they order the truck. Spring brakes, dual spring brakes, dual axles. Here's our inner axle, an SPL 170. That's the driveline. And then we have wheel differential locks. We have both forward rear axle and the rear axle uh, have diff locks in it, and that was cost $2,800 there on the list price. Down here we did separate flip valves for the dual axles for the lockers. So you can order it with one switch that will lock the front and rear locker at the same time, or you can separate them so you have two switches, one for the front rear and one for the rear rear. And that's what I did. Here we have the rear suspension, Kenworth Airglide 460 with a 54-inch axle spacing, and it says it includes the dump valve. And then we have heavy duty airbags and dual leveling valves for the air suspension on the rear. Now, every truck I've ever had has had dual leveling valves. Ones that I didn't order, the ones that I bought used had them, and so I've just always ran that. I don't know if it's better than a single leveling valve or not, but it's just what I've always had, so I've kind of always stuck with it. Now we move on to our tires and wheels. We have front tires. We had the Michelin X Works Z's 2011R 22.5 16 plies. So there's probably millions of, not millions, but there's probably lots of different choices here when it comes to your tires and price ranges and stuff. On the drives, I did Michelin XDN2s. Um, the very first truck I ever ordered, I had Bridgestones on them, and the tires, they didn't last too long. So I decided I know these Michelin tires and I know what kind of wear I get out of them. So I just ordered them from the factory because I figured a little more money up front now will save me money later, cost per mile. So that's what we're running. Front wheels, we got the Alcoas, uh, you know, Magna Force 22.5 rims. And we got those on the front and on the back. Okay, and it says here it shows single front axle, two polished wheels for mirror polished, and on the rear axles, four polished rear wheels. All right, now we come to the frame. We have 10 3/4 inch by 3.5 by 3/8 inch steel frame. And then they give you different lengths here, 337 to 416. So back in the beginning on your wheelbase, if it kind of what I'm guessing is they have different ranges. So that between 337 inches long and 416 inches long, it's going to cost you this much. If it's shorter than that, it's going to be less. And if it's more than that, it's going to be more. And then same with the weight. Um, somewhere in here, it says the weight. Oh, right here. Truck frame weight is 3.48 pounds per per inch per pair of rails. So that's pretty much a standard frame. This isn't double framed or nothing. No insert in the drives. It's just a single 3/8 frame front to back. I like that about Kenworth. Okay, here's our bumper, straight chrome steel channel, and pretty much, I'm thinking that's the only one you get. Or you can get a box bumper, but you can't. I don't believe you can get a 16-inch tapered bumper with the front tow hook. Here I have the that center mounted front tow hook. When you put that on, it pretty much limits your bumper choices. Steel shackle links. We got mud flaps, and then we got the brackets on the front are cast iron front spring drive. And then steel underbelly cross member. So under the cross member there under the engine is steel instead of aluminum. And then here is a U, so I'm not exactly sure what that means, maybe upgrade or whatever. But we did threaded bolts instead of hucks. So we had them put bolts in the frame instead of huck rivets. And then, okay, so now we're moving on to your battery box. It's a steel battery box, short length steel battery box, and it mounts under cab. And it says that two air tanks may mount to bottom of box. They have aluminum ones as well, which would save you a little bit of weight, but on past trucks, those aluminum ones sure seem to uh, break. So on the 990, it came with the steel one, and I didn't have that truck long, but I know I didn't have any issues with it, so I left this. I had them do the steel one on this one as well. And then standard battery box location is left-hand side under the driver door, which you can place that, I believe, uh, behind or maybe even on the right-hand side too. And then non-polished DPF SCR cover diamond plate with cab access and polished end plates. I think it says something, the cover, the end plates will be polished when the frame paint is a color other than black. And then we have a heavy duty back of cab cross member. So that's where the air ride cab sits on. It's pretty heavy duty. When it says that, I was looking at it the other day. It's pretty heavy duty. And then we deleted the standard fifth wheel because we're a log truck. And that helps us not have to have traction control, I believe. And it says that the chassis is too long for delivery in the standard three-way due to the long overhang of the truck because it's a log truck. So I don't know what truck it came down with, if it was just piggyback down with one other truck or two other trucks, but I know it was just piggyback down. Customer installed bulkhead or head rack. And then at the back, we have a Premier 370 air operated tow hitch, standard rear mud flaps, and I'm sure you can get stainless or whatever you want, but we just do the standard ones and I put on my own. Uh, Quarter fenders, the little short stainless steel ones that we got. And then here's your straight cross member for pintle hick mounting at the end of frame. This cross member limits the hitch capacity to 78,000 pounds. Jeez. So here's your onto the fuel tank. So there's probably many options on these as well. So here we have a fuel tank. I went with the 120 gallon, 24.5 inch diameter, and they make 22, I don't know if it's 22.5 or just 22-inch diameter tanks, a little bit smaller diameter, and then they make another tank that's bigger diameter, like a 27 or something. But the 24 and a halves are fairly common. So that's what we did there. Uh, if you don't do the locking fuel caps, it will put the anti-siphon device in the filler neck. I have locking fuel caps somewhere. It's probably lower, a little bit farther down on the page. So I did get the locking fuel caps. On your exhaust fluid tank, we went to the medium round tank, which is 23.8 gallons, and then they will locate that on whatever side you specify. And here's the heavy duty 7-inch steel supports for the fuel tank. So we went with the 7-inch straps. Um, or they also have the 2-inch straps as well. I went with the 7-inch straps because I went to 22.5 tires, lost a little bit of ground clearance, and these they give you back a little bit of ground clearance. They hold the tank up a little bit higher. So that's what I did with that. Here's your polish for one fuel tank and then the polished cover for the def tank, any size. Oh, here's the locking caps, fuel tank locking caps. Polish only on the straps, and they polish the tank. So yeah, def to fuel ratios 2.1 or greater. Deleted this anti-siphon valve, and then here it says def tank location is right hand, and then the location of the 120 gallon fuel tank is left hand behind cab. All right, on to the cab. Here is where we went with the extended day cab with curved glass, which I'm pretty sure you can only get curved glass with it. So that just gives you a little bit more room in the cab. It's a $5,000 option and it another 174 pounds. I don't know how, 5,000 list price. Who knows what it actually cost you? Um, all right. It has cab door bearing blocks, top and bottom, and then the hood is a straight unit glass hood. And then we did the hood hinge reinforcements. That's underneath the grill on the front, underneath like the grill bars. There's that bar that runs the full width across the hood, and that's a hood hinge reinforcement. And then we added the 4 ribs on the radiator grill. Probably should have just left the 3. Nobody has 3 on them anymore. That would have been different. Standard cab heater here. Uh, a, a ball valve to shut the heater off. Okay, here we have the steering wheel. We went with the leather 4-spoke steering wheel. Standard is telescoping and tilt. Here's a good one here. We did the 5 sets of keys. So usually when you get the truck, they only give you 2 keys, but you can ask. One option is to get 5 sets. So I got that. I got 5 sets. And then the one thing that's not on here is the keyless entry. I do have keyless entry on the truck, but it's not on this page. It was something that was added after that. Um, so here's our flip valve for the PTO. They put that on the dash. And then it's information for customer installed PTO. So yeah, it just says that they didn't install it from the factory. 2 spare switches wired to power. So here we're getting into the switches and gauges. And then here's your gauge. We got air filter restriction, and then we got 2 air suspension pressure gauges because we have 2 leveling valves. We got a trailer reservoir air pressure. We've got engine oil temp, fuel filter restriction, manifold pressure, 2 rear end oil temperature gauges, and 1 transmission gauge. Okay, and then you have the driver information center in that's that little tiny screen above your speedo and your tach. And then the standard instrument package is here. So it includes a speedo, a tach, fuel gauge, coolant temp, engine oil pressure, voltmeter. Um, Also includes primary, secondary air gauges, application gauge, a depth level gauge, and warning lamp are included. The engine hour meter and the air temperature gauges are standard in the tach engine or in the tachometer gauge. So it's very important that you, if you're wanting to um, have your dash fully gauged up, it's very important that you count how many spots there are. Is there 21 spots? I think there's 21 spots you would need to have filled, and that would include the standard ones here. So you'd have to count all of the gauges and make sure you have your 21. Okay, here's the cab interior. So we did diamond. So that's the buttons and stuff. So that's $3,200 list price. And it even adds quite a bit more weight. And that also includes, when you do the diamond, it includes the Nav Plus system on the dash, the screen on the dash. And somewhere down below, I'll give you on the next page, but you have to delete the Nav Plus so that you can get just gauges. Here's our interior color, jet black with dark slate gray. And we did 2 air ride seats, both driver and passenger, and they are just I think the IB is like an intermediate back, but they're a lower back seat, not a high back. I never really checked in with I never looked at what seat options were available. I just went with these. I wanted a lower back. I don't know if they have a leather low back or anything like that, but I kind of do like the cloth. But the one thing I did not get was heated seats, and I probably should have. But anyway, I like those, so they should be fine. Seat color is jet black. And then here's an option here that airline fitting at the driver's seat. So they have a little spot where you can hook a air blower in right next to the seat. And then we have the Kenworth radiator. We have the Kenworth radio, AM, FM, weather band, USB, and Bluetooth. Did not get the satellite radio with this truck. Um, that is something I will be adding later on. Uh, I just didn't. They put the little satellite radio antenna um, in the roof of the truck, and I just didn't want it on the roof of the truck just because it's another hole that could possibly leak water. So I decided that I would just add it later and put the antenna on the mirror. And then we just got the CB radio, the Cobra 29, and that's nice. I like to have it come with a CB because it has the antennas and the coax all run, and it also comes with a speaker in the headliner, which is nice. Which you can probably get all of that stuff without the radio as well. There's probably different options. And then it has an additional accessory power supply wiring up there by the CB here. I left that in because I'm hoping to use that for my dash camera to have that powering it. Then we just have four speakers, high performance speakers. Okay, we comes back. We have the logbook holder under the dash, which we got to run. Who knows if you use that too much, because if we have to run an ELD now in California, we don't need the logbook, but it's still nice to have. Be a good thing to. I'm always writing notes for stuff to do, so that'd be a good place to put it. Uh, non-self canceling turn signals, and then we have electric door locks left and right. And here is the standard Kenworth truck tech for remote diagnostics. Oh, here's where it says delete the Nav Plus system. So you want to delete that uh, Nav Plus so that you can have your full gauge dash. I also did the Kenworth nameplates from the hood. I did not put them on, mainly because I was not sure with the stripe where they were going to be. They're something that I will probably add later. And the only thing now I see, they were putting the individual letters, chrome letters for the 100th anniversary on a lot of trucks. So that would have been cool to get. Um, but I just wanted to make sure that they didn't, where I had it was not in the stripe. I don't like it when they have the stripe of the paint being the logo over that. Then you just have your standard grab handles each side of the cab, and then they have one inside of the cab. Daylight doors are standard, as well as the peeper window. And I don't have air horns on the roof. So they just put a little plastic guy underneath the cab. Here's your look down mirror above the passenger door. We went with heated convex mirrors this time, and also moto mirrors, heated moto mirrors, electric mirrors, both left and right, which I don't see why you would buy a truck these days without the moto mirrors. Just doesn't make sense to me not to do that. Okay, we did a stationary rear window with the dark tint. And we have uh, electric electric windows, left and right. Put the plastic records holder on the back of the cab panel there. So we have that. And then here's an option here. Two-piece roped in windshield with the curved glass. So here's where you could put either the single piece or the two-piece. We went with the two-piece mainly because I was thinking ease of replacement. I've had some people say that they're harder to replace than the single, so maybe that was a mistake. But it is what it is. We'll figure it out when the time comes. Um, and then a stainless steel sun visor up top and air ride cab suspension. Also did the quiet cab package. That gives you a little bit of noise reduction for your cab. Here's lights and instruments. So here we're just standard headlights. Uh, we've got marker lights on the top of the cab, which it says 5 and they're LEDs. Um, Interesting that it says 5. I wonder how many you can put on there from the factory or how many you don't have to have. Turn signals on the fender of the hood are LED, and then it comes with LED stop lights on the back of the truck. We opted also to add the turn signal lights to the bottom of the mirror. So I like that on trucks. I think it looks pretty cool. The funny part is they don't have this in an LED option. It's just regular, but I'm going to swap those out to LED. Here we have the fog light switch up by the headlights. We had them put that in. We're not running fog lights, but we're going to use that switch to run some extra lights on the truck. Here's the dual flush floodlights on the back of the cab, the ones that are inset there. That's these. And then here we have switch and wiring for customer installed floodlights. We have two of those. So those are the wires. I don't know if you watched the other video, but they coil them up, and there's two sets of wires there at the back of the cab. And I'm going to use these for load lights. One switch will be for the head rack, and one will be for the back of the truck. The floodlight location, that's the first ones here that are flush. That's mounted mid, so you can get like probably low, mid, and high. Omit the brake light with the engine brake, so that's good. We don't want that crud, excuse me. And then we did have them put a backup alarm on it. I should have had them put the mute switch. I didn't even think about that, but I'm going to fix that to where I can turn the backup alarm off and on, only because if I'm moving around the truck early in the morning at home, I don't want to have the backup alarm on and upset the neighbors. And here's an extra electrical junction box that's mounted on the frame there behind the cab. And it says circuit breakers replacing fuses. And okay, now we're to the air dryer. So it has our air dryer, and then we have the full truck tractor kit. So that means it gives you air and electric at the back of the cab and air and electric at the end of frame. I like that because I like to load when my trailer is loaded. I like to plug in the lights, so I have lights and stuff. And then this is air and light line 12 feet. They just um, I think that's for the pogo stick. It's a kind of a standard thing there. Nylon air tubing in the frame and cab. So that's just your normal plastic airline. Because I think you can, as an option is to get like air equip rubber air hose in your airlines. And then locate the air dryer inside the right hand rail back of cab. So they did it on the inside. I don't know where it would be otherwise if they put it on the outside of cab or outside of the rail or not, but that's where we put it. And then we have, yeah, this is just the, what you would call it, the pogo stick right here. And then the straps for mounting an air tank module under the battery box. I don't know why that's there. Kind of weird. Here's your base warranty, 12 months, 100,000 miles. Truck Tech subscription for Cummins. And then the base warranty here, 5-year, 350,000. Then some miscellaneous stuff. I don't know what that means. Does not apply. Okay. And then they put you in the triangle reflectors and the fire extinguisher, which they mounted on the outboard of the rider's seat. Then it comes down to the last stuff is your paint. So this will be your paint colors and numbers. So we have Kermit Green and Sand Dune White and a Kermit Green frame. And then here's the option frame paint other than standard black. So that's $1,000 to paint the frame, unpainted bumper, and a premium paint on your day cab. And here you have a 2-color custom design. So it looks like it's an extra $5,000 or something to have your truck painted. 3,400 for the cab and 1,000 for the truck or for the frame. But they make you they got you a little they have a little sketch here. I should have figured out how to download it, but they put a sketch that you can draw how you want your cab paint design done, and then you send it in to them and they can approve it or ask any questions. Mine's relatively simple. And that's about it. Total weight, it came in at 17,198. I'm trying to remember what it said on the door. The sticker on the door, I think, is a little bit more than that, like 17,200s. Um, Hopefully, you guys all enjoyed that. Hopefully, this video is not too long. I'm using my screen recorder because I was trying to figure out how the best way for you guys to be able to read this stuff. So, anyway, with that, hope you guys enjoyed this and go spec your W900 while you can. They're one cool truck. So, and I'll try to get some videos out of the building of the log truck. I know I've got one coming out that I'm working on of putting the truck bunk on, and another one I'm doing for the head rack. So, trying to get those all edited up so I can get those out to you guys. So, all right, with that, thank you for watching. I hope this was informative and that you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.